think of herbs, I'm from the Middle East, from Lebanon, so our food is heavy on herbs. Okay, like you think of, I don't know, South America, you think meat, they're meat eaters. Some countries is rice, spices, Asia is spices. We have lots of herbs. And herbs is not just for cooking. Sometimes it's for just drying for perfume or decorate or add it to the oil so that the oil is flavored oil. And my favorite story on this is, I'm sorry it's recorded, it's going to be, is the basil and the expression, the American expression, who cut the cheese, right? Our version of it is, who shook the basil? Because the basil plant, you shake it, your hand smells perfume, the air smells like perfume. So I like ours better, it's more refined than who cut the cheese. But traditionally, every house, like old house, had a basil plant at the entrance in a tin can, so that you can wash your hands in and out, and and then take a leaf and chew on it like gum to flavor. So it's really, some are fragrant, some even are. They attract insects, so some people like to use them as companion plants because basil will attract the insect before they go to the tomato, but that doesn't mean that's 100% protection. If the numbers increase, they will move to the tomato. They just like the tomato leaf better, so they'll go there. So they can, I'm not an expert on companion planting as a protection, because I don't really believe it works, but definitely some advantage, as long as you don't tell me, oh, I've done companion planting and the tomato tasted better because it's next to the basil. I've heard that. And I told the person, I told him, I don't know what you're smoking, but I want some of that. It's not going to happen. I mean, you cannot change genetics because you put things next to each other. Okay, so in terms of protection, you hear, but what I truly believe, and that's a fact, is that some will have flowers, a lot of flowers, like this, will have a lot of flowers that will attract the bees and the pollinators, which they start flowering about the same time that other squash, or and then you are benefiting the plants from the pollinators that comes to basil, or here like fennel, yarrow, pineapple, sage, that attract butterflies and hummingbirds. Okay, that is a fact, and it's obvious. Okay, and herbs repel less desirable visitors, and here is some of those, but like I said, is not 100% protection, and it may not work all the time, but for some reason you'll see, for example, the cabbage moth on the rosemary before you see it on the tomato. Well, but there's a rosemary next to the cabbage, I bet you they'll be there equally. You should have a copy of this. You can get a printout, so don't worry about writing notes or taking pictures. Just ask Jennifer for a copy of this printout. Okay. Now there's anecdotal evidence, all right? Not science. We've not done the research that if you pair, then you can get benefit to the plant. Rue planted near roses produces a root chemical that repels Japanese beetle grubs. Wow. That is a quote I got. It's too far-fetched. Okay? But then we have to do science and research to prove it. Basil planted near tomato, like I mentioned earlier, deters flies and mosquitoes. Okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know. So really, plan it for the advantage, plan for this, but you decide for yourself. Don't take it for granted that it will work. Some things we tried, and we know it works. Like I have tried the sunflower next to a tomato plant, because the stink bugs like people, will prefer a steak versus a tomato salad. Same thing, a stink bug will prefer the oil in the sunflower than the juice from the tomato, so they will go to the sunflower first. So you plant them earlier than at the same time. By the time they flower already, the sunflower has a small head. It doesn't have to be mature. Even the small seeds, flowers have. And then I saw more insects here than here. So it does work. Some things do work. You just have to try it first. Okay. This is some general information. I'm not going to read it all, just generalities. Many of those herbs that you may be familiar with, if they say they are Mediterranean origin, then they definitely need a very well-drained soil. Why? Because Mediterranean climate is like California climate, where it does not rain in the summer. Okay, so too much rain and that does not drain well, the roots will rot quickly because they don't have that tolerance to wet feet. So here you have plenty of rain, then make sure you have very well drained soil. Sand and compost mixture, if you put 50-50 in a raised bed, is a great combination. Okay, and remember my first golden rule, every time before you plant, the last thing you want to do is add more compost. Sand only once at the beginning, 50-50 sand only once at the beginning, because sand's not going to break down and disappear. Anytime you want to refill, just add compost, and you'll have the best raised bed ever. You know you have a great raised bed if you don't. I don't use tools anymore to plant. You go like this. It's that soft, and you plant and cover it. And I don't rototill. You should never rototill your raised bed. I don't even pull the plants. I cut it and let the roots rot and feed the following crop. Except for tomatoes, I pull 2 or 3 just to see if they have root nematode or the roots are healthy, and then the rest, if they're clean, the rest I cut and let them rot. I try not to disturb that bed. So you see, good drainage, that's important. Add amendments, that's the compost I told you, okay? It's very important. Now, it's compost, but if you have cows, goat, horse, sheep, add a trash bag amount of manure to the compost pile from time to time. What does that mean? You know that 3 by 3 by 3 compost bin, that's like the stand people have. If you have, and then you fill it, or as you fill it, add a little bit of your animal manure with it, it will speed up the composting process. I mean, that's what commercial composting do. They get mulch, and then they add chemical fertilizer to it, which is food for the bacteria, and then they mist it with water to start the cooking process. Okay? Was that a hand? Yes?
I just had a question because I had mentioned that real farm and we have all that good stuff, right? But somebody told me recently that, I guess, I don't know how to put this, but like the USDA government, they don't approve that because there could be some like salmonella or kinds of things in that feces.
That's very good, yeah.
In the fruit, but we've always done it forever, but.
Yes. She mentioned animal manure I'm paraphrasing, the animal manure can cause health issues, pathogenic bacteria like E. coli, for example, is what we're familiar with. That is very true. But if you compost it, then it cooks it to 170 degrees, and then when it's done right, composting done right, it should kill everything. So never use the fresh manure in the garden, yes, unless you bury it. If you leave it on the surface, yes, rain or whatever will splash, and then you're moving that. And by fresh manure, I don't mean fresh out of the cow's behind. A cow patty that sat in the field drying for 5 years, that's still fresh manure. It's dry. You add moisture, the bacteria in the back are still there sleeping. You add moisture, they wake up, and they can cause health issues. But composted is fine. So, the organic rules for using organic manure, for animal manure is this. You may want to write that down, it's not there. If you want to grow a crop that touches the soil, watermelon, carrots, potato, anything, then you need minimum of 120 days between adding the fresh manure, but it has to be incorporated. Okay, mixed in, not in the soil. You have to bury it, mix it in the soil, but still 120 days between then and first harvest. Okay, then you are safe. Okay, if the crop, you understand the logic? You mix, you add your raw manure, fresh manure, even though it's a cow patty that's dry. You add it, you mix it in the soil, and then you plant. Minimum 120 days before the first harvest, you're okay. No risk of pest. If a crop is above ground, pepper, tomato, not touching the ground, then that time is 90 days between incorporating and first harvest. This way, to avoid any risk of pathogen and this. Now, of course, you add plastic mulch, it's even better, because now you have a barrier between, that's why most vegetable growers now use plastic mulch as a barrier between the manure they added and the plants above the plastic, okay? But very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. Follow these 120 and 90 days, you should be fine all the time. All right, so mulch is good. You conserve water, etc., etc. But when I add compost all the time before I plant the new layer of mulch, compost, I think of it as mulch, okay, to bury whatever and that. So I plant a lot of herbs. Do you have time to put mulch around every single one? No. And really, mulch as a weed barrier does not work. I mean, you really need a foot of mulch, 6 inches to kill the annuals so they don't grow through it. But perennial will grow through a foot of mulch or anything. Okay, so if you have a very weedy garden, then cardboard is your best friend. Okay, nothing grows through cardboard. And it's ugly, then put cardboard, punch a hole, put your tomato in it, and then cover that cardboard with mulch for decoration. That will stop all the weeds. And then the cardboard will rot eventually, and it becomes mulch and becomes compost. You don't have to worry about removing it or doing anything. And one advantage of cardboard, I put it on a raised bed, and I go in the morning when it's cool. I found that all the bugs are hiding on the edge of that cardboard, under it, because they also don't like dew, like cold night. So perfect. I see stink bugs. I see things I don't like. I get my car vacuum, instant organic insect control without having to spray anything. And I have a video of it because some people say, Joe, you like to exaggerate. I have a video of it showing catching all the stink bugs on the edge. So if you do use mulch, use it as to see what's hiding there. Okay? So water annual herbs as you do other annuals, etc. And here's some information. So it wouldn't hurt on some big perennial herbs to add some gravel, not just for decoration. Remember, many of these herbs are also ornamental. So you can't put them in the landscape like sage, rosemary, they look, even fennel, they look pretty, and also edible. By the way, the ornamental cabbage that you see growing that's edible. It's not poisonous. So you can take a few leaves and cook it just like, it is cabbage. It just grows differently and has different colors. Okay, so back to this. Again, I may not read all of it. You have. Okay, and like I said, they don't like wet feet. So if it rains and the water stands there for a long time, does not drain well, then very few of these herbs will make it. Okay? Do not use lawn sprinklers where herbs are growing because, again, they're dry climate plants. They're not used to rain, so they can easily get like leaf rot or mold or mildew or things like that. So don't use them. The only time I use a sprinkler is at seeding time because they are small seeds and you plant them real shallow And then I use that sprinkler to keep that top inch moist. So let's say like 5 minutes each, once a day, to keep that inch moist to guarantee that they don't germinate and dry out and die. And the minute I see the first leaf, then you shut down the sprinkler and then switch to drip irrigation. Because most people who plant herbs or leafy green fail at them because they think they did not germinate. No, they germinated, but you watered 3 days later, that's white tiny hair-like root seedling died. So you need to keep that top inch moist until you see leaves, and then you switch to drip.
When you say the leaves, are you like the first, sometimes call them first leaf?
Yes, either cotyledon or the first true leaf. Yes, that would be. Probably the first true leaf is better, safer, because the cotyledon comes quick, so you're not sure that the root is really deep. So first true leaf is safer, you know the roots is deep enough, and then you can switch. Yes, correct. Good question. Okay, herbs do not need to be fertilized. It really should be, do not need to be over-fertilized. So you add compost, that's slow release fertilizer. Because if you fertilize it, it may flush and then have all kind of issues. So it will find its own nature. You add lots of nitrogen, the flavor of the leaf or the seed quality, the flavor is not there, okay? So don't fertilize too much. Many catalogs will tell you exactly how much you put. So what we recommend is something like Osmocote, which is a slow release. It looks like beads, and then when they get wet, some of them pop up and release the fertilizer. So it's a slow release fertilizer, or compost that is like a slow release fertilizer. Okay? So, and this is like I said, you add some fertilizer, and then you'll have flush of leaves, but not really that much flavor, especially in the herbs that you use for cooking. Now remember, the fertilizer NPK, think of them as leaves, roots, fruits. Okay, so if you're growing leafy crop like you are growing here, nitrogen is important, but not too much like here. But like lettuce is a leafy crop. If our soil have enough of potassium, little bit of this, little bit of, so you can put just ammonium nitrate or calcium nitrate, just nitrogen, and you can have a decent crop. Okay, but you want to grow a root crop or encourage roots to grow, then definitely you need phosphorus. And potassium is used by the cell, by the fruit, by the flower, by all that. So one time I was given a class and I said this, leaves, roots, fruits, and a guy, leaf, beard this deep, told me, I know it another way. He calls it up, down, all around. I told him, I like it, it's so true, I'm going to start using it. I wish I remember his name, but it's so true. Think of NPK as up, down, like above ground, leaves. So I get often hey, my grower has a beans that are 6 foot tall and not a single flower on it. Well, you put too much nitrogen to that bean, because nitrogen, leaves for leaves, and then it's growing more leaves. So, okay, so I need some pruning ideas is to use them, and anybody has basil in their garden, but you cook with it often, or pesto, things like okay. I mean, again, it's one of those cuisines. If you make pesto regularly, then you need a lot of basil plant. Otherwise, one plant is enough. But what I like when they set flour is I take the flowers and then put them in a mesh bag and put them in the drawer. Then the drawer also smells like a nice smell, socks and the drawer, so that smells nice. Okay, there's lots of, I mean, these are generalities on how to prune and when to prune. But here, for example, be careful with some perennials, like they are listed here. If you prune too much, like if you prune to the wood, it will not, it will die. It's not gonna make. So if you have to prune, make sure you leave new green tissue so it can make new branches and encourage new buds to grow. And that also happened to my basil. Some basil are annual and some basil are perennial. The one perennial, I took it inside the greenhouse to overwinter, and I pruned it too much to the wood part, and it never grew back. So, and that's a basil. Okay, so some are, and we have an extension publication on herbs and greens that tells you which one are ornamental, which grow tall, which grow like a hedge, which are vining, to help you in your landscaping. My dream, if my HMO allows me, is my front yard to be all herbs and ornamental edibles, because I hate mowing. On one side, I put gravel, so that's not going to be mowed. On the other side, I put what do you call them, bulbs, and and mulch. So and the backyard, I killed everything. I'm not mowing, so I still have a front yard with the healthy plant, things like this, hedges, border, tall, short plants, background, very tall. This tells you this way you can mix and match so that you can have landscape design. That's a beautiful landscape design. Okay, again, don't worry, you can get a copy of this. This mentions the name and a little bit of description about it. Bay, that's bay leaves, that you use in cooking. So it will grow very well here. It may not grow for us in Dallas, but it can grow well here. So everybody uses bay leaves when you boil meat or something. So why not have your own bay plant? And rose geranium is like short and spreads on the ground. There's flowering herbs. We talked about basil, but I honestly haven't grown many. Maybe rosemary, maybe oregano once in a while, but look at you have a big list option. Now, I put the scientific name because some catalog may call oregano, but another country may call something else oregano. Okay? So these things happen. So I also put the scientific name just to make sure you're getting the right plants. Okay? All right, exotic herbs. Let's talk a little bit more. This picture is from India, but in Lebanon, I remember things like this where things are still, maybe not anymore. But let's talk arugula or roquette. Anybody has that? We tried it. I call it Poorsman pepper, like black pepper. It has a little bit of spice to it, so a little bit of bite to it. It's great. Great for fresh, great for cooking with it. It's closely related to mustard, so if you ever eat mustard greens or this, you gotta try this. It grows a lot faster, and look how fast, this is 4 foot wide, 50 foot long, 12 rows or 16, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 rows with a seeder, done in 10 minutes seeded, and then forget it, and then that's overkill with these herbs when we plant them like this, because we want to fill the bed quickly so we don't have any weeds, and then the competition between plants will make them tender instead of trying to get tough and strong so they can go big. So many of these edible herbs, plant them thick because it's not a perennial crop. Fill quickly, cut and grow, and these are cut and grow type of plants. See, it has a biting, spicy flavor, so that's why we call it Poorsman pepper. So add it in the stew, add it in soup, add it in things. What I recommend to people who like to try, but put them in a mesh bag and put it in the stew. You don't have to chew them, you don't have to eat them, but cooking in that broth will extract some of the nutrients, some of the vitamins, all that, and then take that, throw it away, and some of the flavor until one day you say, let me take a bite and get you some. But try with that. This way you get some of the nutrition, even if you don't end up eating it. Okay? Now this is a toothache plant. It's fun to have, and it's fun to tell someone, hey, take that bud and chew on it. First you feel electricity in your, like you bit a hot wire, and then after a while you're numb. Half your face is numb. And then the gardener who gave me this gave me a big bud, you know, and I chewed it, and all my fault, and I was drooling, and he's laughing. So at my expense. But it's true, if you, this is an old-fashioned remedy for toothache. It numbs your mouth for a long time. So, okay. Edible amaranth, I've shown you a picture before. If you grow it as a single plant, it can be this tall and this wide. But you plant it thick, you're harvesting it like leaves. Kind of like spinach. You've seen spinach where you can plant them to individual plants that are this big, but now they plant baby spinach, like they put 1 million seed per acre. So they're so crowded, it's cut, so they're harvesting the leaves. Same idea, they're more tender, cut many times, and they're very, really very delicious. They can. I tried stir frying them, you know, like Chinese sautéing. It tastes great. Yeah, same thing. But these here are so crowded. There's no outer leaves. You just cut with a big knife, shave, and then they're all outer leaves. They're all tender now. Okay, beet greens. This is beet, but you grow it for the leaves, not for the beet, because that's too small. So they're nutritious and tasty. So there's lots of options that you can grow. This one is like Malabar spinach you mentioned earlier. This is a cousin of okra. Okay, so it grows very well in the summer. Very few plants that you eat the leaves in the summer. Like I told you where the nutrition is. We eat all the fruits in the summer. This, again, really plant flavor. Molokhia means fit for kings. Egypt, Middle East, Africa, South America, where I went there, they grow it, they call it differently. But it's an excellent leafy vegetable, and you can plant it thick, cut and grow, or you can plant one plant and grow like an okra, tall and wide, and you need a machete at the end of the year to cut that 3-inch trunk to get rid of it. Okay, so plant one plant, and at the end of the summer, a few pods will have 1 million seeds in them. I'm exaggerating. We'll have thousands of seeds that you can save for next year. It's a great plant. If you like Malabar spinach, if you like spinach, try that. And there's lots of recipes with it. So here is where we planted it like thick. Of course, this was let go. This is woody here, but when it's 1 foot tall, cut and grow. And what I really like about it is you dry the leaves to store, or you can freeze the leaves to store them, or you can eat them fresh. So they all taste well, so you can eat now or store for later. Okay, okahejiki is Japanese, and it tastes salty. So you have an issue with high salts in your soil, plant that. It picks up the salt from the soil. I don't know if it's going to fix it for you, but it'll pick up a lot of salt, and it also tastes salty. Okay, it's native to Japan, where it grows by the water edge, like the sea edge, so it can tolerate salt, and it picks up some of that salt. Okay, it has an English name. What is it? Salsola. Okay, salsola. And here's the scientific name. Okay, that's how it looks. It's crunchy, so yeah. I've tried that too. I've tried Mizuna. Again, it grows very fast. Between this and this is probably like a week. So it can grow very fast. Of course, this bed here is 100% compost. Okay? So no fertilizer added. These are fast-growing herbs. It has a lot of nutrients, and it's a short-term crop. If you want to grow tomato or anything, of course you have to add. But something in a harvest in 3-4 weeks, just leave them wherever they grow. Whatever you lose, but you have 1 million plants, I don't know how many, but you will have plenty of yield, more than enough. Okay?
How do you use that?
Huh?
How, is it like a salad?
Mizuna is eaten in a salad. If you go to a fancy restaurant that they have a $10 salad that has mixture of herbs, Mizuna is one of them. Yes. Cress is probably another one of them. You have land cress and you have watercress. It grows very well, grows like a weed, roots everywhere. I mean, really, if you don't let it, it can spread. But it's not a perennial, so it's not like mint will take over your garden and then have to get rid of it forever. But there are other names for it. Poor man's. Oh, no, I don't call this poor man's garden. The other one. Swiss chard. Swiss chards, there's lots of kinds of Swiss chard, different colors, so they should be in the front yard as ornamental, okay? And I've grown them hydroponically, and to my surprise, this yellow has yellow roots, because you know, roots are exposed. You pull it out from the water, oh, yellow roots. And this red one has red roots, so it's pretty, okay? So, but Swiss chard, I recommend everybody to go look up the recipe, lentil and Swiss chard soup. It's a great Middle Eastern recipe that uses the Swiss chard with the lentil. High protein, very healthy, great dish. Because how do you use Swiss chard? We have two dishes in Lebanon. One, you roll it like cabbage rolls, but with Swiss chard leaves. But that's a vegetarian, not rice and meat, vegetarian filling. And the other one is lentil and Swiss chard soup. Otherwise, it's, yeah, looks pretty. Yes?
When I see this planting all these, do you have to do crop rotation? Can you grow it over and over again, or do you have to switch it out?
Okay, good question. Crop rotation. Crop rotation. How do I say this? Crop rotation is important, but let's be realistic. We can plant the same crop in the same place. We have, because everything is done right. We have compost. We make sure there's no disease. This and that. Here's why. Let's say you have two beds, here and here, and then you have tomato here, or this cabbage, and then you have cabbage looper, and then next year you say, okay, I'm going to plant it here. Is the cabbage going to say, oh no, where is it? I can't find it? So that's not going to work for flying insects. And it's not going to work for airborne diseases like mildew or rust or things. So rotation is important in this situation for soil diseases like fusarium, like pythium, like southern blight, or soil insects like root knot nematodes, like white grouse. So if you pull a tomato and you see you have root knot nematode, yes, absolutely, move it to a different location and fix this problem. But if everything is right, rotation, what are you achieving? So.
You're following up on that. So if you got those nematodes, how far away do you have to plant it?
Okay, if nematode, we know it swims 1 inch a year. So if you pull the tomatoes and then these 4 have nematodes and these are okay, only take care of this for soil, and the best way is dump it, dig it up, throw it away, and refill it. Or give it to your neighbor. Tell him, hey neighbor, you want some free tomatoes? And then refill. That's the best way. You can solarize, there's an organic product called Sincocin, Sincocin. You can spray that, and that will reduce the number, but may take 2 or 3 years before you get rid of it. So the best really, in a small scale, dump it and refill it. Because remember, a 4x8 bed, let's say 10 inch deep, that's 1 yard of soil. So $40 price and I don't know, whatever delivery, it's a lot cheaper to restart with a new bed or refill instead of trying to fix the problem. Okay, that's my opinion. But we've done trial where we rotate and we don't plant the same thing, just to see. Sometimes, like you see tree shade here in the afternoon, we planted the same onion here or there. That doesn't get afternoon shade, to see if it made a difference. And afternoon shade does not make a difference to the plant. We have so much sun in Texas and so hot that if your garden is fully shaded, let's say starting at 2 o'clock, consider yourself lucky. As long as it had full sun in the morning, and then from a house or from a tree, fully shaded, you are lucky. Best location for a garden. Okay, where were we? Sorrel. Oh my goodness. goodness, we did not click the record button. You're recording now. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I cannot do too many things at once. Okay, sorrel is lemon. Yes?
On this chart, will it grow again, or you have to replant?
No, you have to replant. Now, in your location, it doesn't freeze. It will live as long as possible. But our location, the winter will kill it. Okay? I mean, it will grow 2 or 3 years, and then eventually it will rot itself out. But yeah, it's considered an animal.
It grows well.
It grows very well here, sure. I mean, kale is a perennial, even in our conditions. I mean, I've seen kale that's 6 foot tall, this bare stem, and then yeah. So sorrel is kind of lemony flavor. See, kind of like some people call it kiwi flavor, kiwi fruit flavor, especially the sour kiwi when they're still green and not, or sour wild strawberries. So, and lemon is vitamin C, so that's why we encourage you to try different herbs, even if you don't want to eat it, cook it, and then remove it, and use that broth, and then you still get some of that nutrition out. Okay? And here's the sorrel root, drought resistant, because you see like a carrot will go all the way down. But if you want to plant this, don't make one mistake. Make sure that bed is a foot deep, if not more, because all my sorrel and all my carrot, when I harvest them, they had L shape, because the root went all the way down, hit this hard band, and then went sideways. So I have L-shaped carrots. Corn salad, we saw that in my other presentation called mache. It's very, very cold tolerant. Here are some other names. That's also one of the herbs you find in that fancy restaurant mixture of salads. Lewiston gourd salad, lamb's lettuce, fennicus, field salad, mache, that's the one I'm familiar with. Okay? It starts as a cold rose, like a rosette, like a flat, and then eventually it can grow tall and flower. Okay, so yeah, all of them very good. All of them very good. Now some really are too bitter. Of course, I like the lettuce to be a little bit bitter, so I wait till end of season. But that's where the nutrition is. Fresh lettuce is, I call it crunchy water. Where's the taste? And if it gets too bitter, that's when I saute it. Okay, so a little bit of bitter is not bad. There's good nutrition. Claytonia, I'm not for growing that again because it's when you harvest it, there's lots of branches and sub branches, so you have to cook all of it, even though the stem does not really taste as good as the leaves. So yeah. What we ended up at the end of the season is we dug it up here, and then the roots are so meshed together, so we rolled it up like a carpet. That's how we harvest that whole bed, and we fed it to he had goats, fed it to the goat. They loved it. Okay, there's lots of these options. Mesclun, isn't that a Spanish word? Mesclun, meaning mix? Huh? Mesclun, okay, mesclun, the English way to pronounce the same thing. Mesclun means mix. So that's why you see here, it's a mixture of the different herbs that we showed today. Some countries have a different mixture, like you have arugula, radicchio, frisee, mizuna, dandelion greens, mache. Other countries may have a different mixture. Okay, so you have the sour flavor, the little bit bitter flavor, the fresh salad flavor, the nutty flavor, really better than just, and you can buy mesclun mix seeds, so you can plant them all together. But unfortunately, some compete with the others, so you may start with 5 different varieties or 7, and then you end up harvesting 3 because they don't all germinate at the same time. So if you like this, I suggest you grow them separately. This way you have 7 instead of 3 out of 7 that finally made it to harvest. Microgreens, you're familiar with microgreens. Of course, many restaurants now are taking flowers. Like I know a grower who only grows squash for the flowers and sells it to the restaurant because they use the squash flowers in their salads and in their decoration. And it's edible. I mean, it's not poisonous or anything. It's edible, which is like, what am I eating? No flavor, nothing. Okay, microgreens versus sprouts. This is what I would call a sprout, you know, like bean sprouts. But the minute you see the leaves, then it's a microgreen. And now there's something called baby green, which is not just a cotyledon, but maybe one or two true leaves, but they're still small, so they call them baby green. Okay, so I like this idea. If nobody's buying it when they're sprout, it's okay, I grow it another few days. If still nobody buy, I still grow it another, and then I sell it. So the guy who created this baby green is smart. So, you know, he has a good business mind. Okay, and see, here are all the crops. I mean, you can think that broccoli, cabbage, red cabbage are edible, but I told you earlier that even all of those seeds and the nutrition in the microgreens is more than the nutrition in this rutabaga root or this artichoke. I mean, that's a flower. That's a baby flower, immature flower. Okay, the nutrition is there. So I love microgreens, but at the same time, we use so much seed that I wonder if that's what's causing the seed prices to go up. Are we going to run out of seed one day? Because, I mean, when you harvest a tray, you put, let's say, an ounce of seed. An ounce of seed can grow a 50 by 60 foot garden in one tray that's 10 by 20. That's what I don't like about microgreen, is uses that much seed. Okay, that was quick and sweet and not recorded. Any questions? Yes, please.
Was more nutritious the microgreen or the sprout?
Oh, definitely microgreen. The sprout, you're eating the roots, which is just water and cells, nothing, no nutrition there. I mean, yes, the microgreen, sometimes the bean, you see leaves, but they're still yellow, but that doesn't have much nutrition. Yeah, definitely microgreen, more nutrition than sprouts, for sure.
40%.
Now, alfalfa sprout is different. That is a little bit greener, that has some nutrition more than the bean sprouts. But I think microgreen is more than those. Sorry, you said?
It's up to 40 to 50% more nutrition by weight.
Then, yes.
Than the
Yeah.
mature plant.
You used to grow it, didn't you, Jen?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you guys probably make your own compost, but is there a commercial compost that you recommend?
Commercial compost, there's nothing commercial like bag or this. Any compost company that makes compost is fine. Just make sure that they can give you the printout of the analysis. Make sure it does not have heavy elements. Where does it come from? I mean, if it's from fallen trees that they shred and this, they should be okay. So they should give you the analysis, and they do that regularly. But no matter what, I've gotten compost and I ended up having nutsedge with it. You familiar with that weed, nutsedge? Nutgrass, some people call it nutgrass. That, because it's a nut and bigger, sometimes composting doesn't kill it. And if you have one, you're going to have a million next year. So make sure everyone you see, don't pull that seedling, dig up a foot and get every nut in the soil, otherwise they multiply really quick. But otherwise, yeah, you know, it's not bagged and shipped like, compost. Do you have here a compost company? No? In McAllen? Okay. Yeah. Municipalities, sometimes they sell shredded compost. So if you want to do your own compost, you don't have to wait till fill it with your kitchen scraps. You can mix it with shredded mulch and then add fertilizer and then compost it. You'll get good compost too. That's fine.
So I'm used to compost. How do you do the compost? Like, is that the
Compost, you fill up with leaves and kitchen scraps, onion peel, whatever, not the cooked food, not the oils, not the raw vegetable stuff, and ideally you want to fill it quickly, not 6 months before you fill it, so that you can start cooking fast. You can add, for example, your dry leaves, you mow the lawn, you can add your grass clippings. I mean, I'm sure Jennifer can get you or someone who knows and give you a presentation or handout on how to compost. I mean, there's an art to it, but what I recommend is definitely fill it up quickly, like in 1 week instead of over 6 months. Because the bottom rotted already, and then the top you still have a fresh banana leaf on it. You want it full so it can be done quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, another place you can get compost in Weslaco is on Milano Road, Dyer Nursery. D-Y-E-R.
And how much do they sell it, do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, check.
And it's trees, because he has a landscape company.
Because where we are in Dallas, you know, a yard is about $35, and what you have to buy minimum of 3 so they can deliver for you, or you can go pick it up. And delivery is $50. So for 3 yards, that's about $175. That can fill 3 full beds.
The town composting facility, I believe, is $20 a yard, and if you pick it up, you can get a yard if you want.
And in a regular
The
pickup
town
truck,
composting facility.
and a pickup truck can easily hold a yard, maybe depending if it's wet. Like you go now, you're taking water more. So go when it's a little bit dry, so it doesn't ruin your transmission.
It actually went up
Did it?
$30.
How much?
$30.
$30,
A
yeah.
whole 10. Wow.
It's still cheaper than us. Us we are like $40, $45.
Okay, he
The
said
town
$20
composting,
for a
yeah.
half a yard loader bucket, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Half a yard loader bucket, $20 for Dyer.
The tractor loader, they say that's about half a yard. So sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. So that's $20 half a yard, so $40 a
Dyer
yard.
Nursery, D-Y-E-R, and it's chipped up ground trees,
That's good. That's a good thing.
rotted trees.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I grow tomatoes, okay, and I've been choosing the types of tomatoes or Marshall. Right, what I'm hearing is we can't give them anymore. That's what I'm hearing.
I heard about Tycoon not going to be available anymore. But that's okay. I mean, it's normal. The company will take one out and then put on the market the cousin of it, very close to it. So, yeah, I don't know. What, yeah. Yeah. Any recommendation on tomato that will grow well here? Who's growing what and recommend? Yes?
We grow mostly Romas.
Roma?
You guys over there? That does better
Yeah.
disease problem.
I like Roma because you can eat it fresh and it has more meat than jelly, and you can cook with it. So instead of beef steak, Roma is also good. Yeah, again, tomato is a personal, definitely not heirloom because you really have to know how to grow them to get any decent yield. I don't recommend them. But check the catalog and read the description. Like it will tell you it's resistant to verticillium, resistant to nematode. So get one of those and then try a new variety. Try something new. It may taste better than what you have, what you already know. Okay? You got it. Now, of course, tomato, don't over-fertilize because then it's mushy, it's water, and it's big, and there's no flavor. So really, once you start harvest, let it stress. Let it stress the water. In Israel, they use salt water to fertilize the water with. That salt stress, and the plant absorbs some salt, and they say the fruit tastes better. So, I mean, it's believable. It's one of those things you hear and say, it's believable. Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much. I hope it was worth your time.
Okay, so we passed out, some, sheets of paper, that was our evaluation, you can either fill that one out or fill out the one on, whoops, you put it down, that's okay. The one that was online. So this is, through a grant program, so all of the speakers that we're able to bring in, we're able to keep these programs free for that reason. So these evaluations are extremely important so that we can continue to host these programs free of charge and bring